Coming up, the University of Iowa student government passes a new initiative. And later, a local pet shelter welcomes more furry friends.
Will Hawkeye football be able to bounce back?
As the fog drifts away, it looks to be a beautiful day to walk through the Pentecrest.
All that and more coming up on this Wednesday morning edition of DITV News.
Don't go anywhere. DITV News starts right now.
Good morning, and thank you for tuning in live to DITV and KRUI 89.7 FM.
I'm Aiden Wirtz.
And I'm Johnny Valtman. Lima Yunus, mother of former University of Iowa student Ali Yunus, filed an appeal after receiving a 5-year prison sentence. Yunus is charged with aiding and abetting her son's escape from custody in May. She was found guilty by a Johnson County jury earlier in August. Yunus filed an appeal to the Iowa Supreme Court this past Friday. Last night, the University of Iowa undergraduate student government voted unanimously to push forward a resolution to make Narcan available in downtown Iowa City establishments. The resolution experienced some difficulties passing early on. However, the most recent version has been a matter of little debate. The resolution is intended to help combat the ongoing problem with spiking drinks on college campuses.
By putting Narcan or Naxalone in the downtown establishments, we would have that drug readily available for students who need it, rather than having to wait for first responders to make it to the scene or just cross your fingers that someone happens to have Narcan with them, which odds are, unfortunately, unlikely.
Iowa undergraduate student government will continue to work closely with Iowa City Council to keep the resolution's momentum going. And Aiden, it was kind of a foggy drive this morning to the studio.
Yeah, Johnny, it was, but you know what? I don't mind the temperature, so I'm good with still wearing my sweatshirt like a day like today.
You're right, I won't be complaining about the weather, and hopefully AJ isn't either, as he is live outside the Pentecrest to give us the rest of our weather forecast.
Well, guys, it's certainly a beautiful day, but there are some clouds in the skies, but no chance of meatballs today. But stay tuned for next week, because you never really know with this Iowa weather. Today looks to bring a high of 76 with the afternoon dipping below 60, a trend we'll see all week. Tomorrow looks to bring a high of 77. Looking ahead to the rest of the week, Friday will be a toasty 83 degrees with lows dipping to 58 and on game day will be a beautiful 88 degrees with temps dropping to 62 around game time. Sunday will be similar with highs around 87 and lows back around 62. And the school week will stay hot with highs around 87, 88, and lows again around the 60s. That's a look at the week ahead. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, AJ. The University of Iowa hospitals and clinics will obtain all Mercy Hospital assets on October 2nd if no other bids are raised. UIHC submitted a $20 million bid for the 185-bed hospital located on Market Street. The UI has the goals of supporting Mercy Hospital during their bankruptcy and preserving healthcare access for the Iowa City community. And the Boards and Commissions Review Committee for the state of Iowa unanimously recommended to remove almost half of the boards and committees around Iowa. This comes as the new part of Kim Reynolds' plan to reorganize and simplify the government. These recommendations still need approval from state Congress, but they plan to cut over 100 out of the total 256 committees, as well as merge others together to help consolidate the programs. A large number of dogs recently entered the shelter system here in Iowa City. DITV reporter Brady Bertrand has more on the rescue dogs.
Last month, Iowa City Animal Care and Adoption Center received 131 dogs from a breeder. That influx of dogs added to an already crowded shelter system. Shelters in Iowa, Wisconsin, and Michigan stepped in to take some of the dogs.
We actually had another building that we were housing dogs into, and then we had dogs in kennels and crates in the hallway here. Luckily for us, there was other rescue organizations that were willing to step up right away, and we were able to offload, I think, 60-some dogs on a Thursday and another 30 on a Friday.
Adoption numbers spiked during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, but since then, some of those pets have ended up back in the shelter system.
I think that everybody anticipated having this large influx of dogs coming directly as a result of the puppy mill, but the untold story there is the large influx of dogs and cats needing homes prior to that.
And we want to make sure that this is a lifetime commitment. This isn't just for a week or a year. People move and go, I didn't know I couldn't bring my pet. It's like, well, that's really on you because you should have asked that. That's part of your family. And then they bring them to us.
Animal shelters are always looking for volunteers and foster homes to help get these pets ready for their forever homes. Outside Iowa City Animal Care and Adoption Center, Brady Barron, DITV.
While a lot of attention is facing a government shutdown on October 1st, another worry will be added to millions of Americans. We have Daily Iowan politics reporter Grace Katzer, who is live in the newsroom to tell us more about the increased worry of student loan repayments.
Thanks, Johnny. After 3 years of deferred student loan payments, more than 45 million loan borrowers will have to begin repayments on October 1st. UI alumni have expressed feelings of fear and uncertainty as the first payment date nears after multiple attempts to cancel student loan debt at a federal level were denied.
And Grace, why are student loan repayments resuming now?
Well, Johnny, federal student loan repayments were paused by the Trump administration in 2020 as a response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Biden administration has extended this pause 8 times as many of Biden's loan forgiveness plans were struck down by the federal courts. After Congress passed the bipartisan debt ceiling deal in June, the federal student loan pause officially ended.
With the loan pause being resumed, how will UI alumni be impacted by the resumed payments?
I spoke with UI alumni who will have to begin payments just next week. One alum, Gina Whitty, carries over $100,000 in student debt, and over a decade later, Whitty says she's concerned she will never pay off all of her loans. Noah Healy, a 2022 UI graduate, said focusing on loans will take away from his plans to save for retirement, for a wedding, or for having kids. Back to you in the newsroom.
Thank you, Grace. And this Thursday, Dr. Jelani Cobb spoke with students as part of a lecture at the Iowa Memorial Union. DITV reporter Jace Bertrand has more on Dr. Cobb and the lecture.
Before Dr. Jelani Cobb held his lecture at the IMU Tuesday night, I was able to sit down with him and discuss a wide variety of topics, from his upbringing in Queens.
When I was young, my older brother, like most older brothers, had to walk me home from school, and he would occasionally be joined by his friends Daryl and Joe. And Daryl and Joe grew up to later be better known as running DMC.
To his early career with BET.
True, yeah. Oh, I was intimidated, which is probably a normal phase of anybody's career, and sometimes it's smart to be intimidated.
Since those days at BET, Dr. Cobb has gone on to become the Dean of Columbia School of Journalism, as well as a frequent writer for The New Yorker. At the Iowa Memorial Union, I was able to speak with a few students who shared why they were attending the lecture.
So I'm a political science and social studies education major, so I thought this lecture would be super important as a future educator to kind of better my understanding of how so many political entities kind of work within one another.
Covering politics, race, and history, Dr. Cobb's lecture has allowed students to further their understanding of journalism in the modern age. From the Iowa Memorial Union, Jace Bertrand, DITV.
Thanks, Jace. And Aiden, after the way the Hawkeyes played on Saturday, maybe they need a good old lecture.
Yeah, Johnny, they're going to need a little bit of a pep talk heading into this next one, because with another primetime game this weekend, the Hawks have gone on to have a new game this weekend, so we're going to see how some of the players feel about Michigan State coming up.
You can't lose a game twice, so you can't let last week make you lose this week. So you got to keep moving forward and just build upon and take the lessons that you learned in the loss.
And just kind of, we have a 24-hour rule. You know, whether you win or you lose, you're just kind of sitting on it, and that just kind of gets you fired up to go practice and go play the next game. We have the best fans in the country, and I'll always state that. So just being able to play a night game in front of them, it's a tremendous feeling.
With one of the players being Jay Higgins, who has done so well, not only does he lead the team in all Power 5 schools in tackles, but he also leads the team in jokes.
Jay. Jay is hilarious.
Jay's a personality. Everyone loves Jay.
He's one of the funniest guys on the team. Really like being around him.
As dominant as the senior has been on the field, his personality shines bright, even with the lights turned off.
When it's time to work, it's time to work. But if we're not practicing and we're not, serious, I try to have a good time.
Once you get in that locker room or once you get back to the hotel, it's all jokes.
Depending on if I had a good practice.
If he didn't have a good practice, then you might be talking a lot less. But, you can always hear Jay coming around the block.
All jokes from Jay aside, the star linebacker knows the importance of supporting his teammates in every way possible.
I feel like guys are going to respect you more if they can relate with you. I don't want to be the guy that's always yelling at them and telling them to, wrap up on tackles and drive your feet. And basically just telling them everything they do wrong and never a friend, and things just won't work.
Higgins will look to continue his tackling terror on opponents in Saturday's game against the Spartans. And if one thing is for sure, number 34 will always have a smile on his face.
You just love to see the players always having a good time. And the Iowa field hockey team continues their impressive form this weekend. DITV sports reporter David Consuelos has more on their success.
The Iowa field hockey team continues to strike fear into teams across the country. The Hawkeyes yet again ranked #1 in the polls for the 4th week in a row. The undefeated Hawks lead the nation in winning percentage, shutouts, goals allowed, points per game, and scoring average. A large part of their success comes from their ability to create shots through team play.
Nice.
We see a lot in practice of loads of different people showing up and scoring lots of goals in practice, so it's really nice to see it coming in games. As I say, when you're playing two-touch hockey around a goalkeeper, it's easy goals. It's really easy.
With the season now in full swing, Iowa looks towards their freshman forward Dion Van Ulsum, who has 21 goals, 46 points in just 9 games, leading the nation in both categories.
I think as a team we're a really good team. We're all friends with each other, and I think the chemistry between us is really good. It feels like a little family, I think, and that's I think one of our biggest strengths, to just play together and all want the same thing.
The Netherlands native was named Coach's Player of the Week last week. She was also named Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week twice and Big Ten Freshman of the Week 3 times through 9 games.
I think it's just important to respect every opponent and treat them the same, kind of. So just go with the same energy and do what we're good at.
After defeating the Wolverines, Iowa returns home for another Big Ten matchup against the Ohio State Buckeyes on Friday. From Grant Field, David Consuelos, DITV Sports.
Thanks, David. That field hockey team is just on fire right now. And former Iowa left tackle Robert Gallery is set to be the newest 2023 College Football Hall of Fame inductee. Gallery played towards the beginning of the Kirk Ferentz era and is considered to be one of the best offensive linemen to play at Iowa. Gallery was a consensus All-American, 3-time first-team All-Big Ten, and winner of the Outland Trophy in 2003. He is the highest drafted Hawkeye as he was chosen 2nd overall in the 2004 draft by the Oakland Raiders and would later be inducted into the University of Iowa Athletics Hall of Fame in 2017. He will return to campus to be honored with a National Football Foundation Hall of Fame on-field salute during Saturday's game versus Michigan State. And Iowa volleyball is heading to Indiana this Friday and are looking to stack another win onto their 8-6 record. The Hawkeyes are going up against the 11-4 Indiana Hoosiers, who are coming off a loss against Illinois. Iowa will have their hands full and will have to look out for number 4. Maddie Saris, the Canadian outside hitter, is not afraid to bring down, as she leads the Hoosiers with 142 kills. However, the Hawks are also coming off a loss, and not a small one. Iowa got shut out against Iowa State last Sunday, so hopefully the Hawkeyes can get back up this Friday against the Hoosiers. Johnny, it's just always a blast watching all these teams compete at the highest level of college sports.
It is really fun, and I love going to any sporting event here at the university because win, loss, or tie, these Hawks, they really give it their all. And that's all we have for you today. Thank you for tuning in to DITV News and listening to KRUI 89.7 FM.
Be sure to head over to dailyiowan.com for all your latest news between Monday and Friday.
For DITV News, I'm Johnny Valtman.
And I'm Aiden Wirtz. Have a wonderful Wednesday.